this is just getting worse and worse for Labor. We just had Peter Gleeson on a moment ago talking about the hit, the big damage that's happening in the polls in Queensland, the Palaszczuk government in particular. A lot of this, even though it's Jackie Trad, is resting on the Premier's shoulders. What's this doing to New South Wales Labor? Because this has been a decade plus of scandal.
Well, it's a hot mess. It's like pouring Kero on a kindling fire, isn't it? It's just exploding all around them. It's really rather extraordinary to read how recently these events have taken place, given the broader history for New South Wales Labor. And even more extraordinary today was Kristina Keneally's comments about let's just move house and, you know, that will fix everything. I understand what she's trying to say, but the reality of it is it's like saying, you know, you might have a murderer who lives in one street, we'll just let them move to another street and that will fix all the problems. It won't fix the problems. There's obviously deep-seated cultural issues within the organisation. For this to have taken place so recently and so surreptitiously, and now everybody's, you know, weeping and moaning in the witness box. But the reality of it is it speaks to the fabric of the party itself. Now, we've seen commentary this week around Anthony Albanese talking about potentially bringing in administrators. You kind of got to burn the joint to the ground, kick everybody out and start again, whether it's in Sussex Street or whether it's, you know, whatever street. The location is immaterial. It's the inhabitants of the house that makes the difference.
Yeah, look, Kristina Keneally, I mean, really and truly, Kayla Murnane was trained by Kristina Keneally. Let's be clear on that.
Cute.
Eddie Obeid sat in her parliamentary party room, Eddie Obeid, when she was Premier, and she wants to be the clean screen. Tina McQueen, give me a break. If the culture of Sussex Street is the problem, moving the building and the inhabitants out of Sussex Street to wherever you like doesn't mean that you still haven't got the Sussex Street culture, particularly when Kayla Murnane gets herself into trouble, wants to ask a question, and who does she ring? She rings the guy that was sacked from the Senate for very, very dodgy dealings, sits in a car out the back so she can't be overheard, and briefs him about what's happened. He says, call the lawyers in. The lawyers tell her, don't say anything. We won't minute this. You'll be okay. This never happened. Really and truly.
I mean, Peter, there really should be a Kristina Keneally comedy hour. Honestly, some of the stuff she comes out with, you cannot make up. You couldn't make it up in a wild dream on some LSD trip. I just sit there every time. It's a joke. I mean, we have to sit and watch this unfold, but I'm going to surprise you a little bit here, Peter. ICAC itself, really, and I've seen people that have gone through this, it can destroy many lives who have done nothing wrong, no charges laid. I mean, this will decimate Labor for sure. It's not a question. But I also look at the personal toll. I mean, one poor gentleman already committed suicide over this. I've seen members from other parties been to ICAC and honestly been on 24/7 watch. And I'm concerned, particularly with the talk of introduction of a federal ICAC, that we're just going to have these sideshows federally as well. Take the evidence, I think, probably in private, then whack, charge people, tell, you know, air all the dirty laundry. But ICAC itself bothers me, but what Labor's going through in their antics doesn't bother me. And Kristina Keneally, honestly, if Labor was smart, they would lock her up. Never put her in front of a camera again.
Well, let's not forget that a would-be Shorten victory, now even a would-be Albanese victory, would have her as our Border Protection Minister, God help us. But Bernie Finn, I mean, there's something true in what Tina says, because this is information hearings, if I can call it that. There's certainly not charges that are being defended. There's no nothing more really than allegations. But clearly, Kayla Murnane herself has admitted to breaches of the law. Whether that will end up in charges, that will be a matter for prosecutors. But interestingly, two points here. Last night I had Andrew Clennell on, who reminded me, and I'd forgotten, that all of these changes in relation to property developers were brought in by the Labor Party when they knew under Keneally that they were going to be wiped out at a state election. I thought they would make it tougher for the Liberal Party. They've caused themselves huge grief. But then secondly, in and around all of these, Labor figures have been out this week saying we need a reform of all the electoral laws, we need to change all the rules because clearly this corruption keeps happening. No, people just have to abide by the laws.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you know, I was involved in New South Wales politics almost 40 years ago. I joined the Liberal Party in New South Wales, and all those years ago, the Labor Party was corrupt to the core then. It's clearly still corrupt to the core, and you'd imagine in years to come it will still be corrupt to the core. When you add that to the problems they're suffering in Queensland, you see that the Victorian government is also still under police investigation. The fraud squad is still investigating the Victorian government. You've got to wonder if there's a future for honesty in any Labor Party branch anywhere. And you might as well throw in WA as well, because we know what sort of history they have there. You know, the ALP have a real problem with corruption, and it's up to them to fix it.